What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now. And yo, we got a dope conversation for you today. We got an interesting, eclectic, renaissance man of a brother on with us. We have this brother. He's an entrepreneur. He's one of the co-founders of Buy Black NYC, real estate sales expert for New York, Black real estate school, Black notary school. I mean, when you think about Black learning, money, entrepreneurial, what it's going to be this guy. He's going to be up there. And this is my man, Andre C. Hatchett. So fellas in the Black Fathers Now family and the ladies listening too, because, you know, they like to tune in to know what we talking about. Let's bring on and welcome my man, Andre C. Hatchett. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Mike, brother Mike, it's an honor to be here, man. It's a pleasure and a privilege. I am feeling great, excited to share some game and learn some game and help our brothers out, man.
That's what it's all about. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. And, you know, when we get started, everybody who listens to the podcast knows that we always start off with shout outs. You know, the tagline to Black Fathers Now is bringing the village to the brothers, but we are only as strong as our village. And so I always make it a point to let the brothers, before we get started talking about what they do and how they do it and everything, to give a shout out to your support system, to your village, to those folks that mean a lot, that help Andre C. Hatchett do what he does on a daily basis.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. So today I'm going to shout out, my man, Lex Kelly. Lex Kelly's a great friend of mine. He's helped me build a lot of the things that I've been working on and helped me grow a lot as a human and individual. I want to shout out my sister, my baby sister, who just got married.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to her and her new hubby. And a shout out to my dad, who I spoke to yesterday afternoon, a wonderful father.
Congratulations on that. Tell your sister congratulations on jumping that broom.
Will do. I'll make sure she knows it.
No doubt. And so, you know, when I mentioned your intro, I laid out a whole lot of things that you have going on in the realm of business, entrepreneurship, you know, education. If folks follow you online, they'll see you doing a lot of interviews and different things from a platform perspective and, you know, creating media that's geared towards us. But take us back, man, like really take us way back to Andre C. Hatchett as a young brother, man. Like talk to us about life, talk to us about growing up, and, you know, just talk to us about some inspirations that you had growing up, man.
Yeah, so at this current stage, I'm 37. I'm 37 years old. So if we go back, man, I've always been. I actually did another interview earlier, and I told the guy, man, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 7, 8, 9 years old, brother Mike, and audience. I was shoveling snow with my brother and my childhood friend when it snows.
Wow.
We were selling. I was selling candy at school. We were selling lemonade. We washed cars.
Uh-huh.
We got it in, man. We just weren't of the notion of limiting ourselves. So entrepreneurs been a major focal point of what I did and who I am. And growing up, I wasn't what you would call a model student per se. I felt school was a little bit outdated.
Hold on. You felt school was outdated as a kid?
I did.
Huh.
I did. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I guess I'm more logical than most people.
Uh-huh.
And Mike, why do math problems have letters, man?
Because it's numbers, right?
And why do science problems have letters and numbers and all that stuff mixed in there? Like, so I never got that stuff.
Uh-huh.
In school, they actually told me that I had a learning disability, which I had allowed to seep into my subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Which I allowed to seep into my subconscious. And here's the thing: I have a stuttering problem. I had more then, but because I stuttered, they thought I had a learning disability, which then actually kind of maybe stunted my growth.
Mm-hmm.
But at the age of 22, 4 years after graduating high school, man, I owned a house. And I'm pretty sure that most of my teachers who were teaching me, who told me that I had disability, didn't own a house at 22. So
was that in New York?
Play out.
I know, right? And this is in New York City, correct?
In Yonkers, New York. So
okay.
It's about 20 minutes north of Harlem in the Bronx.
Wow. Wow. And so you mentioned that you've been an entrepreneur from the jump. You've been one that's always kind of into that hustle. You mentioned shoveling snow. I'm a brother from Augusta, Georgia. Snow was a dusting like every 4 years. So shoveling snow is like, okay, I want that experience like once, but I don't want it to be a requirement for life. Right.
Don't get it. No, it's annoying. No.
There you go. It's overrated, right?
Highly, yes, very
Yeah,
much
but
so.
but look, therein lies the business opportunity that young Andre saw at 6, 7, 8 years old. Everybody else thought it was overrated too. Where there lies a problem, there's a business opportunity.
There we go. There we go.
Dig
Make it happen.
Dig it, dig it. And so, but you also mentioned that, growing up, you got diagnosed with a learning disability, but that learning disability was not a lack of intellect. It was the fact that your stuttering problem or the communication part of, how you operated made people assume that that was an issue. And so,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So, as you know, and I'm sure the audience knows, Black men being diagnosed with having a learning disability, the numbers are through the roof. The numbers are through the roof. And also the numbers, I think 70% of the men in prison are either have a learning disability or come from a single parent household. So these things are very, very intentional. And the crazy thing about the formal education system compared to the entrepreneurial world, you figure something out, you do it, you make money. The school system is, if it's not followed in this exact way, the exact way we want it, in the manner in which we want it, then you're wrong.
You said something that's pretty crazy because you gave the example about math and why are there letters and math problems? But it's funny because I have an 8 and an almost 6-year-old, and my 8-year-old would bring home math problems that she's working on. And, they use this other system on like adding tens where you have to pull out the 10 and it's grouping, as opposed to just back in the day when it was 10 plus 17, we would just line it up, 17 over 10. 10 plus 7 is 17. That's it, right? Whereas they have this thing where it's like you pull out the 10 and then you make groupings and it's all these different segments and you come to the same answer, but you're having to do it in a totally different way. And what's interesting about it, it goes back to what you were saying. We can get the same answer. We can both get the right answer. But if they don't follow this grouping method or whatever method that's being taught, then they, in essence, are wrong in the eyes of those that are teaching it. So that is, it literally strikes a chord with me when you said that, because I automatically went back to this grouping thing. And I have a degree in economics from Georgia Tech. And I'm like, I can do simple, addition and subtraction in my head. But the way they have this thing laid out with, it's interesting, man.
It's insane because the day after high school graduation, if we're in the entrepreneurial world, the simpler we keep it,
yes,
usually the better off we do. If I'm a contractor or a realtor or an appraiser, a mobile notary, if I show up and do the job at a high level, you'll refer me. I'll make more money. I'll put more advertising in. I'll win. The day after graduation, but if I don't follow your exact way, and that's my problem that bothers me about it, is it has to be this one cutter way, this one cookie cutter way, right? If I do better in the classroom standing up, right? I just think better on my feet, which I actually do in real life. I think better on my feet. But I have to be in that stupid chair all day. I think better on my feet, so why can't I be on my feet? So anyway, that's my feeling about the public school system.
But you know what though? But you're literally diving into something that's even deeper than that. If I excel or I have a higher ceiling by being on my feet, why can I not be on my feet? If I have a higher ceiling by sitting in a desk or sitting in a cubicle, why should I not be sitting in a cubicle? It kind of goes back to, I think it was from, it was the argument between like Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois, where there was like the one theory that was like, look, everybody needs industrial education. You need to learn this, learn these fundamental tools, and that's it. Then you can do other stuff. Whereas the other one was like, if you're supposed to be a philosopher, go philosophize. If you're supposed to be a doctor, go be a doctor. If you're supposed to teach, go teach. But either way, find what you do best and literally migrate into that. And to your point, when you have this one system, this one thing, and it teaches it one way, if you can't get it that one way, you're deemed a failure. And I think this is something that we'll kind of piggyback on, because when brothers come to your website, it's andrechhatchett.com, and start seeing all the things, all the trainings, all the workshops, and all the things that you're doing, these things are very nuanced. And it also seems that you've nuanced things specifically to the Black man or to the African-American consumer. So you're giving a different avenue. You might be teaching some of the similar concepts, but you're presenting those concepts in a context that we can directly connect to and or correlate to.
Yeah. So thanks for the kind words, by the way, Mike. So what I've done is most of my talking is I talk directly to the Black man.
Mm-hmm.
And my speaking on Instagram, on YouTube, or courses, I talk directly to the Black man, because I just know, I know us, and I know what we go through. And I have a friend, he calls me King of Practicality or Master Practicality. And I know that us as Black men, we need income, right?
Absolutely.
We need income coming in. We need income coming in as soon and as often as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I teach strategies for us to get these things done in a manner which can help us elevate our life, to which we can be better fathers and maybe even work from home and take care of our children and or be able to have side hustles so our wives don't have to go out and work full time. So that's my specialty. That's my niche.
And you know, the thing is, you also laid out the nuance of everything, right? Because again, going back to the criticism that was dropped initially about everything kind of being just one size fit all, everybody has to fit in this thing and do this thing this way and repeat it over and over and over for success. You bring in the concept of nuance, and you're bringing in the concept of nuance to a demographic that tends to get overlooked, specifically the Black man. I mean, that's honestly part of the reason for my the podcast. This is Black Fathers Now. And the concept of the tagline is bringing the village to the brothers. You know, unfortunately, we don't all live in villages where we have our network right there with us 24/7. But with technology, we can bring that village to each other, you know, via podcasts, via YouTube, via online learnings, via webinars, via anything, right? And so we can bring those things to the brothers so that we can learn. And we can also, because we are brothers, when I'm speaking to myself. We can then also use the context and examples that we can relate to, that we can then also connect with, which then gives us this ability to knock the ceiling off and just reach our full potential. So what you're doing is extremely powerful, brother.
Thank you, Brother Mike. I appreciate that.
And so going back to what you were talking about in regards to, you know, the stuttering issue led to, you know, the learning disability diagnosis and everything. How did that then motivate you and or inspire you? Did that give you like a chip on your shoulder in regards to wanting to do things and prove people wrong? Or was that something in which you had to get over from a self-confidence perspective before you could then move forward?
I think it was a little bit of both, because I'm in this world, I'm in this system, and again, because grades are so important, right? We tell our children to get good grades. We're judged on our grades, but I knew I was different. I had to fight over feeling less than, which I did eventually, but I knew that I was just a different kind of cat. But it's hard to fully embrace that when the whole world around you is judging you based on one cohort or one opportunity, one functionality. So I just embraced myself. So at 19, 20, 21, 22, a bunch of my friends were about to graduate college in our early 20s, and they were going to go get careers and go get jobs. I had a job as a teacher's aide, and I leveraged that to go out and buy my own place. So I was able to kind of cut ahead of the curve or carve my own lane by just being me and doing it and embracing who I was fully. Because the goal is, if we found the American dream is a career, a house, and a family. Well, I was well on my way without having a college degree
Mm.
and with being a C minus or D student.
Mm. Mm. So you didn't go to college at all, like after high school?
I did go to college. I went to college off and on for years, and I finally walked to commencement when I was like 32 years old, which is a funny story.
Okay.
Yeah, I did, but I never needed or leveraged college to get a career.
So you never needed or leveraged college to get a career. So what was then the inspiration for going back at 32 to officially walk?
I wanted to finish what I started.
I like that.
And it had bothered me. Funny story. I was dating a woman, and she was a highly educated woman. She was an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, we were arguing about something not even on the topic, but you know what she said? She said, well, I don't even date guys without a degree, Dre, or something along those lines. And it bothered me.
Mm-hmm.
It bothered me because I had quit at it. And I was like, I didn't like that feeling. So I said, you know what? I'm getting a degree. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I went back to school later on.
And you just finished it because it basically the whole notion of finishing what you start. Like that's something that you really raced on. Yeah.
And I'm not actually an extremist on finishing everything you start. I think some things shouldn't be finished.
Absolutely.
But if it bothers you that you didn't finish it, that you got to finish.
And it's interesting that the spark from the lady that you were dating that was highly educated as an attorney was that kind of straw that broke the camel's back that caused you to go back. But something you mentioned there, she said that I don't date guys that don't have degrees, but you didn't have your degree. And yet she was dating you. So there was something there.
Yeah. She was dating funny,
that's a different podcast there. Look, Andre must be bringing something else to the table that we don't know. She broke all her rules. So
yeah. That's actually a good point. Because you know what? I had the things that most people were looking for. I have a decent IQ. I could hold a good conversation. I could talk extensively about a certain number of topics. I had assets. I had a couple of homes. I had a car. So I have, my route has just always been unconventional in life. Like I'm just an unconventional guy. But if you look at what I have compared to what other people have, who might be more formal, it's probably neck and neck, or I might be a little ahead.
And what you said something there that's so interesting because in 2019, right, if you look at the landscape of education, we see the student loan debt crisis. We see the folks coming out with all of this, but not having opportunities and all of that. And I came to the conclusion that in reality, in this day and age, the value of a college education, now the education is needed, right? We all need to be skilled in something, but the value of a college education typically hinges on the network that you build and the credential, right? And so to that point, the network that you build and the credential, because when you really think about the information that you learn, it's not proprietary anymore because of the internet. So it used to be that the only way you learn this skill set or learn this information was by this specific professor at this university who had it in his book that he only taught in his class that you couldn't access any other way. So he was the basically the gatekeeper to that info. Now that stuff has been democratized. So there's no real value prop in the information. The value prop is in the network, or it's not what you know, but who you know, more importantly, who knows you. And it's in the credential. And so to your point, when you and this lady were connected, you already had the network because of what you were doing. And from a credential perspective, you were basically neck and neck, if not farther along than your contemporaries who had the degrees. So your credential was kind of in other things. So to your point, you actually didn't technically need that degree for what it is you were doing. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I was selling real estate. I was a real estate agent, and I had my notary business. So, and ironically, she actually started to do some work with me with my notary company.
Wow.
On the side when she wasn't practicing law. Yeah. So, a lot of us were so stuck on titles and perception. And one of the reasons I was asking about this whole degree thing, I was like, what is it? Because her dad didn't have a degree, and he's a very wealthy guy. At that time, she was so stuck on what her friends would think.
Wow. Now I'm gonna tell you truthfully, that is the hurdle that a lot of us have to overcome nowadays
Yep.
because, again, I came from, a situation which both of my parents went to college. Actually, going back, 3 out of 4 of my grandparents went to college. 2 of them have master's degrees. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So like I came from this thing where education is the ticket. And again, education is still the ticket, but rethinking it, it's not always the case in which the college degree is necessarily the ticket. And but education is there. Again, I will always say that we need to be skilled. We need to have education and specialized knowledge in things. But is the route that we traditionally took the way to take it, or is there other methods to do so? And especially as a Black man and thinking about it, because everybody is not going to go to a university, right? And that's okay. And you have to have the testicular fortitude, so to speak, to realize that, yes, some are going to talk about you or look at you funny if that's not your path, or think that you're lesser than because that's not your path, but you can still chart a path to success in spite of.
You can carve your own lane. You can carve your own you can carve your own niche out. You just have to be willing to accept what comes with that. And it's going to come with a little bit of ridicule. But honestly, nowadays, it's becoming lighter because a lot of jobs are requiring 4-year degrees, like Google, I think IBM, and a lot of these places are already requiring 4-year degrees. So, and I'm not a degree shipper by any means. I'm just know what works for you kind of guy.
That's it. You have to know. It's basically the whole notion of being self-aware. You know who you are.
Yeah.
That's it. You know who you are. And one of the things we also have to know is like, know how we tick and know how we think, what drives us, what are the things that we value. It's just like we really have to spend a lot of time. And I'm going to tell you, man, that's something that I think from a system perspective, we are rarely afforded the time to do a deep dive into who we are. Right.
Yeah, that's deep.
It is because one of the things that, when I speak in different groups, one of the things that I presented was, really taking time to get to know yourself by spending time with yourself, because being by yourself and spending time with yourself are 2 different things. And people, so sometimes that poses a question. Well, like, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, well, think about your lady, right? You're sitting there with your wife, you're sitting there with your girl, and you're just there, right? But if you're spending time with her, you're paying attention to her, you're being attentive to what's going on, you're listening, you're understanding, you're trying to learn what's going on with her. We do that with our significant others, but we don't do that with ourselves. And by us not doing that with ourselves, we never take the time to effectively understand who we are and what drives us. So therefore, we then start chasing, and we're looking externally for all these things that we first should have started internally searching for, understanding, uncovering, identifying, and then going out and seeking those things that align with who we are.
That's deep. That's deep. Very good insight.
It is. And so, you mentioned, after high school, you went and you became a teacher's aide and all of that. But then you also kind of threw out the notary and the real estate license and all of that. Talk to us a little bit about, I guess your transition from high school to teacher's aide to then notary, real estate agent, buying your own home in New York, which is, a feat in its own. Talk to us a little bit about that transition, brother.
Yeah. So after high school, I did like a year in college and stopped. And I, as independent as I am entrepreneurial wise, I'm against brokenness. So I had a job. I worked at like department stores and I scooped ice cream, and then I got my first and I guess only career per se in the school district in which I grew up. And I was a teacher's aide working with special needs children for about 7 years. So I did that from 19 till about 27. And at 22, I bought the place. 23, I started my notary business where, in a nutshell, I was a mobile, and still am a mobile notary public. I go off I go to people's homes and their offices, and I notarize their documents, perform loan closings, and or fingerprinting services, and get paid between $50 and $250 per appointment. And I scaled that to where I have other people doing it all over the country. So I have subcontractors on some days, and sometimes I do it myself. And then later on, early 30s, is when I started teaching it online.
And so what was what sparked this interest in the notary business? I mean, we all kind of know real estate is one of those things everybody has heard about as a way to build wealth and build and grow.
Hmm.
But what was your spark, or what was this inspiration in regards to the notary business?
So it worked. I'm
Interesting.
not somebody who because this is a me thing here. I'm
Uh-huh.
not someone who believes you have to be passionate about everything you do,
Absolutely.
right? I just don't. I think some things you can get back end passion from. So let's say that I go and make $200 at an assignment, but I'm able to give my sister $100 or buy my mom some groceries or my dad some stuff, right?
Hmm.
That's what I got from that business. I'm able to go somewhere, make $100. I'm there for 20 minutes or an hour, and I'm out.
Hmm.
That is why I did it. That's exactly why I did it. And it cost me a few $100s to start up. And
Wow.
I knew that I could hire subcontractors at a later date once I learned more about the business. Literally, Mike, that was all I needed to know.
An opportunist, brother. That's it. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
You,
it
you
worked.
saw an opportunity to basically bring in what you needed to bring in, which was money, and it was legal. It was a way to do so. It was honorable and
Straight
all of
up.
that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then you saw the opportunity and you capitalized on it. And what's interesting about it, because of your thinking and because of the path that you were taking, you also were able to pivot into that once you saw the opportunity. See, one of the things that I struggle with, and I actually, some of my contemporaries that, we are college educated and we do different things. Sometimes we struggle with this whole analysis, paralysis analysis, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we
Yep.
overthink it. We have to get everything lined up. We have to know everything. And and it's so funny, like some young brothers that I'll mentor periodically, and we talk about like businesses and this and that. A lot of times we have to get everything lined up, and I got to know the whole process before I can take a step. And a lot of that comes from when you're educated and maybe you've done well academically, you're used to being the one that if you don't know the answer, nobody knows the answer, right? So
That's deep.
you
That's
have to
deep.
step back and think about it. Like, I got to know the answer because I'm, the top of my class, or I'm the smart one, or people come to me with questions. And because of that, that actually kind of hampers you. First, whereas on the other end, if somebody maybe didn't have the academic record, they're used to be like, man, I don't know, so I'm just gonna go figure it out and try it. So they roll a little bit more on the action versus leaning so heavily on the intellectual side, which I find some of our, academically successful, brothers and sisters end up doing.
I say that all the time. The people who are really book smart or who are just smart, like people who have excelled in formal education, they usually overthink everything and they talk themselves out of a lot of success.
That's real. That's
Because
real.
they're used to everything being that MLA style for the book report. Everything has to be laid out, citation, this, that, and third. And things like the notary business might just seem too simple. Like, that's just too simple. I don't get it. No, like it's just a bunch of simple stuff. Like oh no, but it has to, like, no, you're not listening to me. It's just simple. Just keep it simple and you'll win. So I agree with you on that one wholeheartedly.
And when you say that simple thing, it was a quote, I think, from Albert Einstein, and it states, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't know it well enough.
Yep, I'm with that. I follow that philosophy.
That's how I am. I'm like, man, if I can't say it simply, then really I don't know it. If I got to keep talking and talking and talking, I don't know what I'm talking about. So real talk. Well, cool. And so to that point, so the notary and real estate, you kind of got into it. You started investing. You saw the opportunity. You capitalized on it. And then you said after a few years is when you started actually teaching others, to do the same. One of the things you also mentioned, and I think we kind of glossed over it for a second, when you were a teacher's aide, with special needs kids. Was there any connection to the fact that you got mislabeled as a kid with, a learning disability back in the day just due to, having a stuttering issue? Was there any like subconscious thing that you wanted to work with kids who have been labeled that way because maybe you could go in and maybe identify a young brother or so that really is kind of like yourself that you can maybe kind of coach and pull along? Was there something subconscious there that was informing you to do that?
So I was really good at it, and I say that humbly, but I was really good at working with special needs children and kids in general, because I actually coach youth basketball as well. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking, what is it? Is it that I'm more sensitive because I have certain issues,
Mm-hmm.
or am I just like a kid-friendly person? I think it's a little bit of both, because a whole lot of kids that I worked with, I actually had people say this to me. I could never do that. I could never
Mm-hmm.
work with those kind of kids. I was like, oh, that's so mean. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could never even say that. Like, that's just a very mean thing to say. So I think my level of sensitivity, part of it came from just who I am, and part of it through my life experiences, that I know how it is. These kids were more disabled than I was, per se,
Mm-hmm.
but I just got them. I just got them and understood them, and I was able to build a rapport with kids who couldn't even talk.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. And
Yeah.
then go to think now you're speaking on stages, you're doing trainings, you're doing webinars.
Yeah.
So the thing that ultimately was initially a challenge is now a major tool for you to impact the world, to build revenue, to build relationships. It's funny how this thing comes full circle, correct?
It does, and so I had forgot. I forget that I stutter sometimes, because I just overcome it. Even though I do it sometimes, it doesn't bother me how it used to bother me. And I have a friend who knew. It's my friend who taught me the notary business. His name is Ricky. I shout out to brother Ricky Salmon, and he, you're doing all this stuff, Chad. Like, how did you do it? I'm like, what do you mean? You stutter. I was like, oh shoot, yeah. I said, I just forgot about it.
Wow.
I just forgot about it, because he knows that it used to bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But so here's the thing with the notary business is I had to answer the phone a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
I either had to overcome whatever I was thinking about or not make money. And I was like, okay, I'm
Mm.
gonna just do it. So I had to get good over the phone, and that helped me to grow the notary business, and that helped me to do the webinars and the on stage, the YouTube videos. And if we give ourselves no choice, brother Mike, it's amazing what we can actually overcome if we give ourselves
Ooh.
no other option.
Oh, say, if you give yourself no choice, it's amazing what you can accomplish.
It's amazing, man. I mean, like,
Ooh.
literally no choice. It's
Bars,
amazing what we can overcome,
bars.
brother.
I'm serious. Like, I think, I mean, everybody wants choices and options, right?
Hmm.
But again, it goes back to one of the things I mentioned, the analysis, the paralysis of analysis, right? We sometimes have too many choices. It's like going to a buffet where there's like a million things. Some people are paralyzed. They're like, damn, I don't know where to start. It's just like, because there's so many options. So sometimes you just need to, it was a story I was listening to, and basically the whole concept was just pick a damn movie. And the whole thing behind it, because and the guy, I think it was an interview on something, but the guy was just saying how, like, you go to Netflix or whatever video streaming service, and there's like a million different things you could watch. And he would notice himself sitting there with the remote searching, and then he would notice 45 minutes later, he's still searching through for something to watch. But we also found was when he just picked something and watched it, typically it was pretty all right. So his whole concept was forget all of that, just pick a damn movie and watch it to the end. And so, yeah, that's
It works.
it works. And so, and one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, another way, because you and I connected online with social media and everything, but one of the ways that I did connect with you on the back end was I also follow Boyce Watkins, and he always references you in regards to some of the things he has going on with, with his platforms. How did you get involved and connected to him? Because, he's focused specifically on, the Black man and the Black family and us, and speaking directly to us in regards to empowering from an economic and, entrepreneurial perspective. How did you all get connected on the back end, man?
Yeah, so I wrote down a list of people who I thought were doing good for the Black community and good business people. This was 2013-ish or so.
Mm-hmm.
I just was trying to increase my network of people. I had some really good friends, but a lot of them weren't overly entrepreneurial. So I was like, man, I gotta keep some of the high gear. So I need some new people. So he had a workshop in Brooklyn, and I went. At this time, he wasn't as popular as he was, so you could actually talk to him after the workshop was over. And I was able to get through, and I told him who I was, told him what I did. He says that helped put me on his platform. I was like, oh, shoot, that's great. times they finally got back to me, and he wrote an article about me, or his assistant did, or manager did, and it went well, and we built a rapport and a friendship from there.
Cool. And then from that, because don't you all have something to get? Is that the Black Man
A
Unite?
bunch of things together. Yeah.
Okay.
Black Men United was an organization where literally it's just information and game and an outlet for Black men. There aren't a lot of safe places where we can just talk about stuff, and not pretty stuff.
That's right.
We've had some conversations about like what to do when you're flat broke.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do if your woman makes more than you? How do you handle that? How do you deal with being? I've had men who weren't a good father for years, and they come on and they shared the guilt that comes along with that, and they shared what they are doing now, and it's just like a safe place for real, honest conversations for Black men. So we've had it about 3 years now.
That's awesome. And I mean, I guess might as well now kind of lead into some of the other things. I mean, again, when you go to AndreChatchett.com, you'll see a listing of a gang of stuff that Brother Man has going on that's really all geared towards us, towards our demographic, and is speaking directly to you, to the Black Fathers Now family that's listening. So talk to us a little bit about some of the things you have going on. We mentioned, I think, the Black Notary School, the Black Real Estate School, Black Men United. Talk to us a little bit about something, or if there's anything else specifically that you kind of like to lay out there that you like to hip the brothers to, man. You have the floor, man.
Yeah. So, the main things I've been working on for the past few years is, one, I have Black course builders. I show people how to build an online course. A lot of times we have information that people would pay for if we can relay the information to them in a simplified, easy to digest manner. So with the success of me having the Black Real Estate School and having the Notary Business School, I just realized that there's a real niche that if you know how to deliver some information, you can get people who will happily pay you to learn. Hence with the whole college thing, a lot of people who are going to college, we're in June-ish now, in the fall, right, August, September. By the time they graduate 4 years from now, some of those majors and careers will be outdated. It's
Absolutely.
just the way it goes. But if you can help somebody for 6 months, let's say in IT, mobile notary, home appraiser, accountability coach, make money within the next 2 to 3 to 6 months, you can do some things for a lot of people. And a lot of people say, oh, okay, I'll pay you a few hundred or a few $1,000 rather than go spend 40 grand on a whole new master's that might be outdated. So I think peer-to-peer learning is only going to increase in the years coming up, Brother Mike. So those are my main things. Black Men United, it's free. It's free for Black men. We have monthly workshops. You're going to work on some stuff later.
Absolutely.
The Notary Business School, the Black Real Estate School, if you want to learn about investing, the Notary School, if you want to learn how to make money on an ongoing basis in any city or state. A lot of our students actually start making money within 60 days after the training or less.
Wow. And then to access all the trainings and the information that you have, what's the best way to do so for the brothers listening?
To go to my personal website, AndreChatchett.com. A list is there. And you have any questions, you hit the subject box at the bottom and send a message over, and we'll do our best to help you out.
Awesome. And then as far as like social media, because the brother drops a lot of interviews and a wealth of information via YouTube. I watched it, but we follow each other on Instagram as well.
Yep,
but throw out your handles as well. And I'm going to put all this in the show notes, fellas. So you all listening, make sure to go to the show notes and you can see all the information to click directly to and connect with Andre.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Andre Hatchett. Andre Hatchett on Instagram. LinkedIn, same thing. YouTube, same thing. Also, our book is out, Mike. Our book. Yeah, you've got to talk about that. The Black Man's Guide to the Altar and Beyond, Volume 1. So really, I'm gonna get personal here. So I was married. I wasn't really good at it, to be completely frank. And I realized I have great parents, but their marriage didn't work out. I never intentionally seeked how to be a good husband. I just thought I would be. I just thought I would be. And I was like, so I was literally going to ask different men what they did. And I was, okay, like that will help me. But what about other guys who just don't know, but who want to get this thing right? So I hollered at some brothers like you, and who just gave some real hardcore hitting game. I mean, game on how to do this. And I want a different perspective because some of us will gravitate towards certain instructions. But like that was. I didn't even tell you this part. Like that was the reason why I wanted to put the book together. It was kind of like a self-help guide for myself that I wanted to be out there for the world as well. So thank you for dropping us off with the gems for the book, man.
Man, no problem. And then to grab a copy of the book, can they grab that also on AndreChatchett.com?
Yeah. If you want to buy this on Amazon, but I got the free book on the website. No bread. I just want to help out brothers who know that they want to have a healthy relationship, whether it's marriage or not, but who just need some help, who just flat out need some help, man.
And the title is Black Man. Is this the Guide to the Altar, right?
Yeah. The Black Man's Guide to the Altar and Beyond, Volume 1.
Gotcha. Guide to the Altar. And fellas, y'all make sure to grab a copy. Yeah, because your boy is highlighted in there, man. He reached out and I dropped a couple bars from my experience.
In one day. Same day.
But I'm gonna tell you, man. Look. My wife and I'll be married 10 years on July the 18th, and so So to that point, man, when you ask questions, I'm like, bro, I got more if you want more. I got some smoke for you.
Volume 2.
Volume 2. We got some smoke, player. And but no, and I'm gonna tell you, and it's really cool that you kind of really, from a transparent perspective, highlighted the fact that this was an itch that you were scratching on a personal level. Right? Which led to creating something that could benefit the world and benefit brothers who are in this process or in this transition of, jumping into a serious relationship. And I want the brothers listening to Black Fathers Now to really internalize what he just said. It started with scratching an itch, right? It started with information that he was interested in. And because he is targeting Black men himself, he's speaking their language. You're thinking like, man, most brothers are kind of like me. They probably have these similar questions. Why not create something and put it out there that could benefit the world? And I'm going to tell you, I heard a quote from a lady. It's a chick. She's a speaker. Her name is Marie Forleo. I was listening to her do an interview on some other platform, and they were asking her about, like, how do you do this and how do you do that and how do you stay motivated? She dropped something that I take with me and I utilize on a daily basis. She said, if you have a product or a service or anything that you're not actively promoting, you're only hurting those that need it the most.
Bingo.
It goes back to the fact that it's not a choice. Brothers, listen to this. It's not a choice. It's a responsibility. We don't have a choice. We don't have the option. If you have something that if it could benefit one more person, doggone it, you must share it. It's on you. You're hurting that person by not sharing it. So what Andre said was, look, I looked in the mirror and said, look, I had a challenge in life. And so in regards to this, I want to learn and I want to gain some insight for myself. But I know that if I'm having this challenge, I could benefit another brother. Maybe you helped somebody to avoid divorce. Maybe by you doing this book, you help somebody to get the proper counseling necessary before jumping the broom. Maybe you opened up the door to some questions that need to be had, which could help a father and a mother stay together to raise, some children growing up, and a kid grows up with both of his parents intact. Again, it's not a choice. It's a responsibility. And I salute you for taking that initiative to do so, because you don't know how many lives you're going to help and impact on the back end, brother.
Man, I appreciate that, Mike. And that's the thing. I said, man, if I would have done this, if I would have known this, this might have been different. This might have gone different. But I said, well, it's not just about me. There might be other people who haven't gotten to a certain negative point, and they're kind of in the midway point, but they get a hold of this book and said, okay, this is how I got to approach things. I need to shut up and not argue more. Got it. I need to go for a walk instead of throwing a bottle against the wall. Got it. I need to, we need to go on more dates and keep the fun going.
Yes.
Got it. So that was to go just simple, hard-hitting, actionable advice, because some of us, we do have the male ego.
It's there.
Pride comes in.
It's there.
So hopefully some people will gravitate towards other men to get help. But if they want to learn dolo, they can learn dolo with the book. Here's what I'm really hoping, that a bunch of them get the book together and have a group around the book together to strengthen each other. That's what I really want to go with it.
Iron sharpens iron, brother. Iron sharpens iron. And man, you know, and I know you're just a super busy brother with a lot going on, so I'm not going to hold you much longer today. Is there anything else that that you would like the brothers to take action on, that you'd like to kind of put out there? Any words of wisdom, words of advice to the brothers that are listening to this as we kind of end this conversation?
Yeah, so if you listen to this podcast, you're in the right place, right? If you are a subscribed listener, let me just tell you, you are in the right place. Just know that you have support out there. Sometimes you might have to create the network, per se, that you don't see, but there are brothers out there who are like us, who are working towards having a better life, who aren't perfect, who want to make sure that we strengthen each other. Know that option is out there. But you might have to do some work to get it cultivated in your own personal life. But you aren't alone. You are not alone. Whatever you've been through, there is help for it. Whether it be a former counselor or whether it be an OG in the community who just got some game. Seek the wisdom. Seek the wisdom, and don't wait till things get bad in your life to seek it. I think that could be the number one gem that I'm spitting at the end here. Do not wait for things to get bad in your life to seek, whether financially, emotionally, mental health-wise, whatever. Get help before things get bad.
Fellas, bars. You're not alone. Always remember that. You're not alone. Seek the wisdom, but don't wait until things get too bad to seek the wisdom. One of my uncles years ago used to always say this quote: dig your well before you're thirsty. When you see that thing happening, when you see this scenario happening, usually everything has clues or leaves indicators. When you see that thing happening, don't wait until it hits the fan before you then go to get help. Now, granted, I mean, if that's the case, still get help. Don't not get help. But
of course,
seek wisdom before things get too bad, and you have a fighting chance. But realize that you're not alone. There's help out there. I'm here, Black Fathers Now. Andre is there. You can reach him. Go to AndreCHatchett.com and Andre Hatchett across all social media platforms. Reach out to the brother. Check the stuff out. But realize that you're not alone, that you are enough. You're capable. And just make it happen, man. The world depends on us.
Bingo. There we go.
Bingo. Well, fellas in the Black Fathers Now family, I want you all to show my man Andre C. Hatchett some love. Make sure to visit AndreCHatchett.com. Follow Andre Hatchett on all the social media platforms. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Check out the Buy Black NYC real estate, the Black Real Estate School, the Black Notary School. Doggone it, just go to AndreCHatchett.com. He got a lot of stuff there. And check him out, and make sure when you connect with him that you heard about him, you let him know that you heard about him on Black Fathers Now. And make sure to always visit blackfathersnow.com. Follow Black Fathers Now on all the social media platforms. Also, grab some apparel, dope apparel at blackfamilyapparel.com, where we help to celebrate the nuances of the Black family. And fellas, until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.